My name is Katie, and you might say that I'm addicted to extreme activities. It wasn't always this way, though. In fact, in high school, the one position that I seemed to excel at the most was the bench. Then I signed up for a running class. We ran 3 miles a day, 3 days a week, and as that class progressed, that's when I considered running a marathon. Up until that point, I told myself that running marathons was for those people. I wasn't one of those people. I wasn't tough enough. I wasn't strong enough. The excuses went on until one day I decided to ignore them. During this race, I saw all walks of life. There were young runners and old, thick and thin, and it made me realize that these endurance challenges are available to everyone, and it's truly a matter of mind rather than muscles. After this first marathon, I became curious to know what else I might be able to accomplish. At 19, I signed up for the big ride across America. It was a 3,300-mile bike ride all the way across the U.S., something that I thought would be impossible. At the time that I signed up for that bike race, I didn't even own a bicycle, but I was determined to do it, and so I did. At 21, I became the first and only person to swim the entire length of the Allegheny River. It was a 325-mile swim. I was swimming about 12 to 15 miles every day, upwards of 22 miles, and became the first and only person to do that. Finally, I decided to go on a little bit of a run, solo and unsupported, across 2 deserts. Each challenge, I was hungry for more. Now, rowing across the Atlantic wasn't something that I had thought about before until the idea found me on a bus in Australia. Some guy sitting next to me mentioned that their friend had rowed a boat all the way across the Atlantic. I was intrigued. Then I was obsessed. I wanted to know if I could do this feat as well. I planned and trained for about 2 years for this challenge, and everyone was nervous for me. My friends were nervous, my family was more nervous, and I did have kids all across the country that would write to me expressing their concerns. I get a letter about 1 month before I set off from an 8-year-old named Justin. He wrote to me, "Hello, Katie. I think your quest to row across the Atlantic has gone too far. You know, you could run into sharks and stuff. Besides, what gave you the idea to row a boat anyway? Why by yourself also? If I were you, I would at least go with someone else, so if your boat sunk, someone would get eaten first." That's why you shouldn't row alone. Sincerely, Justin. So I couldn't convince any of my friends to go with me. So let's fast forward to January of 2010. And I say my final farewells to friends and family, wondering if it would be the last time I'd see them again. I fly myself to Africa, and suddenly my neighbor is a goat. Electricity is going out on a daily basis, and everyone is speaking French. So I set off on January 3rd for 1,000,000 oar strokes that lie ahead. On this 19-foot rowboat, I had 2 sets of oars, I had 4 iPods, 300 chocolate bars, and a lot of determination. But I was rowing in an ocean of unknowns. I knew that the odds were against me. So in this photo, you'll see that little speck on the horizon is my 19-foot boat. As you'll notice, there's no boat following right behind. There's no helicopter overhead. For those 70 days, I was completely alone. Or so I thought. On day 2, I start to feel like the small fish in a big pond. Some of the most frightening moments on my journey were these close calls with oncoming freighters that would feel like moving icebergs. On day 9, I start to wonder who left the lights on. Some nights, the moon would be so bright that it was like a spotlight was shining down on me. Other nights, there'd be thousands of stars punctuating the pitch black sky, and every night was a spectacle as I'd see this glowing plankton, a type of phosphorescence that would glow with each oar stroke. All right, day 20, I have 10 or 15 visitors. I was reaching the 4th way mark, and I wanted to do something special to celebrate this milestone. I wasn't sure what I could do, but the decision was made for me when I saw these fins appear and quickly realized I had 10 or 15 dolphins surrounding my boat, doing all sorts of tricks and flips. I felt like they were celebrating with me mid-ocean. All right, day 26, I start to wish I could get some good sleep. So it turns out that an ocean rowboat is great for rowing, but not much else. During the entire journey, I struggled to sleep more than 2 or 3 hours at a time. It was the biggest roller coaster imaginable. Day 37, I reach halfway. So day 1 looked like 2, day 2 looked like 3. You get the idea. So when I reached the halfway point, there was nothing special about that experience. And instead of being excited, I was overwhelmed. I had already rowed 1,500 miles, and yet I still had 1,500 more to go. I wanted to quit. But I told myself that I'm no longer rowing 3,000 miles. I'm rowing 1 mile 3,000 times. And it's really that perspective that got me through even the toughest moments on my journey. All right, we're on day 62. I could be in a dry bed and a warm shower in 2 or 3 days. I'm 100 miles away from reaching land. But instead, I'm battling 30-foot waves. I'm rowing in a part of the ocean where waves just seem to be spiking out of nowhere, where there's this fast current and swift winds. I realized that if I continue towards my original destination, I'll likely need a boat to tow me in to avoid crashing into any cliffs. I wasn't interested in that. I wanted to do this completely under my own steam. So I make a bold decision, adding 400 more miles to my journey, rowing 2 countries over where the current had died down and would give me a better chance to arrive without assistance. That decision could have added a half a month to my journey. In the end, it adds 8 more days, and in those 8 days, I do run across a few visitors. On day 64, I wonder whether I should have brought a bodyguard. After dreaming of seeing another human being, that dream nearly became a nightmare when there was a boat undetected on my radar screen. I thought they could be pirates and rowed away, hoping we didn't get better acquainted. With a bit of luck, I make it through those final 6 days, and I see land. Reaching land, the most surreal experience I have ever had. I felt like I was winning an Emmy, completing a marathon, and being released out of solitary confinement all at once. After 2 years of planning and 70 days on this 19-foot boat, my dream had become a reality, and I'd become the youngest person ever to row an ocean solo. Now, that row happened 2 years ago, and since then I've been resting, taking it easy, cycling nonstop across America, and starting a charity that helps communities gain access to clean drinking water. I'm getting restless though, so next year I think I might go on a little run across America, doing over 100 marathons in 100 days. Yeah, I get bored easily. So, I'm here not to convince you to row across an ocean or even to run a marathon, but we all have something out there that we'd like to do that seems unreasonable or out of reach. And I'm here to tell you that you're capable of more than you'll ever think. Think about what that out-of-reach goal is and realize that it is possible if you just take one step after another. You might not think you could run a marathon, but get out there and run a mile. You might feel stuck in a job, but get out there and take a course. Whatever you do, just take that first step. Thank you.